physically able.
No, I don't think it'll ever be okay, but I don't think there's a way that we can stop them. So in the case that we can't ever stop people from having children, I think that at the minimum, we should at least make sure everyone is able to, everyone who wants to is able to, and is in a good position to.
That is insane. Why
is that insane? To make people...
I just told
you.
You
like crime?
Do I like crime?
Like people getting unalive? Do you like rape? Do you like awful things?
No.
Exactly. Those things are a lot more prevalent amongst people amongst lower socioeconomic groups. So if we want to make sure those things are minimized, then at least the people who are going to have children, we need to make sure that they're able to raise a child in a good environment. Because if they're not, that child will most likely, turn into bad activities.
There is no way in this whole entire world that you believe nobody should have kids just because...
I don't think it's morally good. I don't think it's morally okay.
I mean,
think it's immoral.
People who bring kids into the world are...
I acknowledge people will, but I think it's immoral. Let's move on to the next guest. Everyone double tap the screen. I've been through stuff, but I'm still happy I was born. Great. Many people aren't. And as long as there's always a risk that some people will guaranteed not be happy, then it's going to be immoral. Because I don't believe in gambling with people's lives. Hey, how old are you?
Hello, I'm 18.
What do you want to debate?
I want to debate the first one, having children is wrong.
Why do you believe it not to be wrong?
Because if we don't create children, then who's going to grow the popularity? We're just going to lose popularity.
And, okay, tell me what issues happened when 13 billion years ago when the universe started. What issues happened for people?
What? How would I know?
No, yeah, what issues were going on with people 13 billion years ago before any living being existed?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Let me help you out. 1 second, my dear boy. Let me help you out. The answer is the reason why nothing bad happened is because no one existed for there to be bad things happening. And so essentially, I don't think it's a bad thing if no living things existed. Hence, I don't think it's a bad thing if human beings don't exist. Okay?
Wait 1 sec. Who do you care more about, the world or the humans?
I don't care about either. What do you mean, who do you care more about? I mean, in the case...
Why do you care if humans exist or not?
No, absolutely not. If we don't, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's an inherently good thing just to exist. Let me give you a question. Would you rather have 80 years of constant pain or not have lived at all?
The first one.
You'd rather have 80 years of constant pain every single second of your life than not having lived at all?
Because living is a gift from God, and literally, I would love...
Okay, sir, did you actually listen to the question?
Yeah, I did.
Let me ask you a question. Imagine constantly being burned in a fire for 80 years of your life. Would you see that as a good life?
It wouldn't be a good life, but it's still a life.
Okay, would you rather have been... So you'd rather go through 80 years of constant pain than never having been born at all?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, I want to be in pain for 8 years.
I don't even believe that for a second. I just don't believe you. I just don't believe that. No rational person would go through 80 years of constant pain than never having existed at all. I just don't believe that. And if you're fundamentally relying on religious stuff, then you'd have to prove your God exists. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 27.
What do you want to debate?
The first one.
Why do you believe having children is not wrong?
I just don't see why it's wrong.
The reason why it's wrong is because you're unconsensually bringing someone into an environment where they guaranteed will suffer.
So do you think do you think suffering... You don't think suffering can be a good thing?
No, I'd say in basically all cases, suffering is bad. I don't think suffering is ever good.
So you don't think that there's cases where someone suffers and from what he's suffering, he learns a lesson which then shapes them up in the future, in the long run?
I believe that
so
can
let me give you an example.
I understand what you're saying. I don't need a whole example. Yes, of course, it can lead to beneficial effects, but none of that ever would have been an issue if that person never existed in the first place. The reason why they need to, suffer to be better is because there's already an issue. And so I don't think that having that issue in the first place is ever going to be a good thing.
But what you're saying is it's because there's an issue there, then it's a bad thing. But why is it a bad thing just because there's an issue that can, in most cases, can be resolved?
No, I don't think in most cases people suffer. 1 second. I'd argue in a lot of cases of peaceful suffering, it can't be resolved. And I think there's always going to be a chance that someone will run into issues that they can't solve. Hence, self-deletion, all those rates, because people run into issues that they just can't get through. And as long as you're gambling that you may have a person who can go through that, I don't think there's any more case where it's okay to bring them into the world.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're just sort of going back and forth because
We
you
can agree
believe
to disagree. It's fine.
you believe.
We have a fundamental disagreement. There's no way we're changing that. It's a fundamental disagreement. It is what it is. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What do you want to debate?
I just wanted to say, what does that second one mean?
Do you know what incest is?
Yeah, but like it says, why is incest wrong, or why incest is wrong?
Why do
Yeah.
you find it to be wrong? Why is that?
Personally, I don't think it's wrong. I think like
We have no debate then. If you don't find it to be wrong, then there's no debate. I only find it to be wrong in the case where you're having a child.
no, I mean
'cause you're
sorry,
harming
I meant to say it's not wrong. Like I don't find it wrong at all. Like I think I can understand why people might want to do that. Like I mean, like it's a fetish. You know what I mean? Like people have fetishes, and that's okay to have a fetish. Do you agree?
I mean, listen, if you have no disagreement, we have no disagreement. Buddy, you're basically agreeing with me. Oh my gosh. One moment, everyone. All right, let's move on to the next person. Double tap the screen.
Hello,
How old are you?
18.
What do you want to debate?
That second one.
Yeah, do you disagree?
How in any way, shape, or form is that right? How?
I only believe it's wrong in the case where you're having children. In any other case, I don't see a morally justifiable reason as to why it'd be wrong. Can you explain why it'd be wrong?
But yeah, I just want to say, do you genuinely think incest is?
I just asked you a
Do you
question.
do that yourself?
My dear boy. 1 second, my dear boy. I just asked you a question. Can you answer it?
Answer what? Say it again, sorry.
Why do you find it to be wrong? Just answer that very simple question.
Because it's your own blood. Like you fucking. It's fucking
How
weird.
does that make it wrong? How does that make it wrong?
It's disgusting. It's
Who's being
horrible.
harmed? Okay, is every disgusting thing wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you heterosexual or homosexual?
None. I don't really care.
So you're asexual?
Maybe. Maybe not. Why do you want to know?
Because it would help
I'm
the
not
situation.
talking about that, bro. I'm talking about incest.
Just answer the question. Are you heterosexual or homosexual?
I'll answer your question if you answer mine. All
Sure,
right?
just answer the question.
Do you
It's very
genuinely do that
simple.
with
1
your own
second, my
family?
dear boy. Just listen. Answer the question. It's very simple.
Honestly, it's disgusting. That's
It's a very
disgusting.
simple question. Are you heterosexual? Is a very
I
simple
don't need.
question.
I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you that at all.
Okay, then we're not gonna have a debate then. Answer the question. Such a simple question. You can't answer a very simple question. If you can't answer simple questions, we can't have a debate. Come on and debate it. Right, just say if you're heterosexual, just say you are. Like it's a simple question. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Harris supporters? Absolutely. Kamala Harris beats. Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay, what do you want to debate?
I was wondering if we could have a look at being fat is okay.
Yeah, do you in that case I'm basically talking about people who are healthy but are perhaps on the chubby side. If you're unhealthy, then
Okay, so you're talking about people that have a high BMI, so classed as overweight?
yes, as long as they're not in a realm where they're being unhealthy.
Okay, so we're classifying people that are obese then as being overweight.
If it's causing damage to their health, which in many cases it is, then I wouldn't say that's okay.
You see, because what your statement's saying there to me is anybody that's over their optimal range of BMI, that's fine. That's what your statement's implying.
If it's not harming their health, that's the key factor. If it harms their health, I don't believe it's okay. If it's not harming their health, I don't believe that weight matters at all.
Okay, because there's an increased risk of mortality with anybody that's over their BMI.
Okay,
that
so if
was
it's
by a
harming
systematic
their
review
health,
of...
1 second.
sorry?
In that case, it would be harming their health, and so I wouldn't view that as okay.
Okay, so I don't think that your statement is honest, and I believe it's slightly
No, I believe you can have
dishonest.
fat people who are healthy. I believe you can have fat people who are healthy, just like if you're.
Could you explain how somebody that is holding adipose tissue is classified as healthy.
I never said that specifically. I said someone who's perhaps slightly chubby or a little on the large side can absolutely be healthy, and I view that as okay. A lot of people view that being even slightly, on the weighty side is a bad thing.
Okay, so if we don't go down the health route, would you agree that people that are fat consume more resources than people that are not fat?
Not necessarily. They might just do less exercise. They might burn it at a slower rate. There's other factors that are absolutely involved. It's not necessarily.
You've applied that instantly to weight loss, whereas the resources that I'm talking about would potentially be fuel in a vehicle.
You're confusing me. You're losing me. I don't know.
So resources don't necessarily just pertain to food. They pertain to all things that we consume as a species. So fuel in a car is a resource that we consume, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So somebody that is fat compared to somebody that is an adequate size for, if we go with BMI just as a standard, somebody that's a good BMI for their height uses less resources than somebody that is fat. As we're currently in a state of a climate emergency, being fat and consuming more resources and causing a greater carbon output and producing more greenhouse gases is technically not good for everyone else. So therefore, being fat is not okay.
Again, I guess we just have a fundamental disagreement on what fat is. That's where we have a disagreement.
So, but somebody being fat would be somebody that has an increased body mass index, yeah?
Not necessarily. As long as that might be the case, but I'm saying that as long as it's not unhealthy and it doesn't cause any health issues, then it's fine.
You see, but somebody wouldn't be classified as fat.
I don't think that's always the case, and that's where we have a fundamental disagreement. That's where we have a fundamental disagreement. Hey, how old are you? How are you gonna leave? This person has been typing in the comments and then they don't want to come on. This type of person frustrates me because it's like, why are you typing in the comments but you won't come on? Like, dearie me. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 18.
All right, what do you want to debate?
I want to debate on how having children is wrong.
Yeah, I don't believe it's ever morally justified to bring someone into the world without their consent, and especially in a world where they will 100% feel suffering.
Well, how are they going to consent, though, if they haven't even been made
That's the
yet?
point. They can't consent, young lady. They can't consent. That's the issue if you're following on.
Yeah, I get that, but they're not going to have a say in that until they are actually old enough to speak. And if we all just stopped having children, then in 100 years' time, no one would be on this earth.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. People didn't exist for billions of years. Life has only existed for 4 billion out of the 14 billion years the universe has been around. Not a single inconvenience was caused for anyone for 10 billion years whilst no life existed.
I do agree with your point there. Like, I do see where you're coming from here. It's like, since we have been here, we've made loads of animals extinct and all that, and it's like, it's really bad. I just think they need to change the way politics works. Not that we need to stop having children, just that they need to change the way that politics are going, and they need to just bloody sort their stuff out and try and put stuff out here.
I mean, in many countries such as South Korea, I think Japan, especially many Western nations, we're noticing a decrease in birth rate. In some cases, especially South Korea, it's causing a crisis when people aren't having enough children, mainly because it's too expensive, it's too taxing. Again, having children isn't always a good thing to do, especially if you can't raise them. I believe that's even extra wrong. I believe it's always immoral, but if you are going to take the immoral and selfish act of bringing someone into the world without their consent, you have a moral duty at least to make it a good world, at the least.
Yeah, I get you there.
That's the point which I'm trying to make. Appreciate you coming on. J4X, will they actually come on and debate instead of just typing in the chat? How old are you?
Why the hell is incest on there?
How old are you?
Don't worry about that, but why is incest on there?
You're too young then. That's why you don't understand, because you're too young. Once you actually mature and get older, your brain will actually become more intelligent and your IQ will increase. Hey, how old are you? Hello? How old are you? I think I brought you. I'm just going through everyone. I will try and bring you on. We're going through quite quickly. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 38. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What do you want to debate?
I want to debate why is incest wrong. May I ask, are you trying to tell us that you are having sex with your family?
Is your brain processing okay?
Yes, I'm 38. I'm a scientist.
Okay,
Thank you.
let me help you out. Let me help you out. Number one, the only instance where I'd say it's wrong is if you're having children. That's the only instance where it would be morally wrong because you're
Okay,
actually harming
if
another
you have
person.
not been put in this position before, right? How could you put that up as a trigger for other people who perhaps have been through that?
Ma'am,
I
what are you
don't
talking about?
understand
Do you
how you
understand
think
what I'm
that's
saying? I
okay.
think you're conflating abuse as a child or child abuse or with another certain thing with incest a certain thing. If it's consensual between two people, there's no instance where it would be morally wrong.
I see. So you want to sleep with your family unless they are fat.
No one ever said that. I find it disgusting. Just like if I wanted to
Okay.
sleep with someone,
So here's a
just
good
listen.
tip.
No, just listen. 1 second, young lady. Pay attention because you're intellectually
Young
sharp.
lady, little boy, I'm 38.
That's fine, but your maturity is not signifying that. It's not reflecting your age. So let me help you out. In the same way, if you asked me to sleep with someone who's the same gender as me, I wouldn't be okay with that because I personally don't want to do it. However, doesn't make it morally wrong. Just because, you might find it disgusting doesn't make it morally wrong. Disgusting and morally wrong are not synonymous. That's what you're failing to understand. So if you have a reason or response to that, go ahead and respond. No? Okay, let's move on to the next person. Everyone in the chat is just babies though. That's the issue. Like they're all children. So they don't have the maturity or the intelligence to understand this. Hey, how old are you?
Hello,
How
can
old
you
are
hear
you?
me?
How old are you?
I'm 24.
What do you want to debate?
So I want to debate what you're saying about having children is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why do you
It's
think it's
wrong
wrong?
because you're unconsensually bringing someone. I believe it's wrong to unconsensually bring someone into a world where they are guaranteed will suffer.
Okay, fair enough. So let's talk about the word suffering, yeah? So you seem like someone who believes in science. Do you believe that there's a force for good? Like whether there's a force, whatever force there is for good or bad, there's an equal and opposite reaction for everything.
I don't believe good and bad are objective things, and I don't think characterizing them as forces will ever be productive in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but do you believe that there's an equal and opposite force for everything? So
No.
if suffering, okay. So do you think it's just humans? Is this just in case of humans, or is it in a, let's say, animal kingdom as well, where animals shouldn't be born, or even let's say agriculture and plants, because they suffer as well. They grow and they die. It's the equal and opposite.
You're not understanding. I can't engage with equally an opposite force. I don't understand where you're going with that. It's not making sense. We just disagree on what exactly you're talking about. Everyone typing in the chat, I'm actually curious. I'm actually going to respond to what you're saying in the chat. I don't usually read the chat that much. I'm usually debating. Anyways, he's trolling. Nope. Not a troll at all. Now we know why. Okay. You guys aren't even coming up with valuable points, but I'll try and respond to whatever silly stuff you're saying. I give it 10 years, you seem doing bits with animals is morally fine. I mean, I imagine I imagine that's, for most people, that shouldn't be morally wrong. If you eat meat, then doing that with animals is not morally wrong. Children, okay, I do these lives to educate people. Education, you're welcome. I know it's something that you guys might not get a lot of, but you're getting educated, yes, and science on everything. Hey, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 18.
What do you want to debate?
Why incest is wrong.
Okay, I believe it's not wrong. I believe it's only wrong in the case where you're having a child. In every other case, it's not morally wrong. Do you agree or disagree?
What, like regular incest?
I mean, if you want to call it that, sure.
Well, I don't know what you mean. I get what you mean by that, though. Like incest without having a child.
If you don't have a child, then I don't believe it's wrong. If you have a
You
child, I
don't
believe
believe it's
it's wrong.
wrong.
If you don't
Okay.
have a child.
No, fair enough. That's it then. Because I was gonna argue on why it is wrong to. Well, it's wrong in general, but
Why do you believe it to be wrong in general?
because I just feel like it's wrong.
You're saying it's wrong because it's wrong. That's circular reasoning.
Like
Do you have a
why?
justification?
So if incest is right, then why can't people reproduce with their siblings, which obviously
The reason why I say this because if you reproduce, there's a high chance of someone getting a genetic disorder, especially
exactly.
if
So
it has a genetic disorder, and that's
exactly. So doesn't that like clearly show that
no, only in the instance where
incest
there's
is wrong?
okay. Would you say that if I have a disease that's my child can inherit, that I should not be able to reproduce?
If you have a disease
that my child can inherit, like Huntington's disease, that I should not be allowed to have children?
I feel like that's your choice, honestly.
So you acknowledge that although you can pass on genetic disorders to your children, that's your choice. But in the case of incest, they shouldn't. That's not the case.
In the case of incest, I feel like that's still your choice, but I feel like it must be wrong. It must be wrong because if it wasn't wrong,
you have to say that people who have heritable diseases, that it's wrong for them to have children too. You'd have to say that people who have genetic diseases that they can pass down to their children, it's wrong as well because there's a chance that your child could have genetic issues. That's exactly you'd have to say.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is like if there's a really high chance of like when you have a child with your sibling, the child comes out with deformities and stuff like that. Like I'm saying, doesn't that show you that having sex with your siblings is clearly wrong? Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense?
Necessarily, it doesn't show it's clearly wrong. Even that case, it wouldn't show it's clearly wrong. I find it morally wrong on my own subjective framework because you're harming someone else. You're guaranteed causing someone else harm. But it technically wouldn't necessarily. I mean, yeah, that's why I'd find it wrong personally. But objectively, no, it wouldn't be wrong. But in that case, again, you'd have to find someone else who has a heritable genetic disease that them having children is wrong because there's a chance that the child, just like in the case of incest, can have issues. That's the issue.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's like every time, like it's not rare, it's like every time. Do you get what I mean? Like every time a child's born from incest, I swear they always have like a genetic.
No, I don't think it's 100% guaranteed. However, I still think increasing the chances, I think it's quite considerably increased, and I think there's research to support that. I need to look into that, but I think it's considerably increased, which is why I'd say it's morally wrong to the point where I don't believe that you should have children with anyone you're related to.
Fair enough. So you just think like incest in general without like having children is just like a regular normal thing?
I haven't found a reason to why it'd be morally wrong. I haven't found a reason that would justifiably say it's morally wrong. I find it disgusting, but just because I find something disgusting doesn't necessarily
mean wrong. Yeah.
Just like if someone's heterosexual, they might find homosexuality.
Why do you think having children is wrong? Can I ask?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't believe it's ever morally acceptable to unconsensually bring someone into a place where they will 110% suffer no matter what.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Like, that's why I personally don't know if I would ever have children because it's like I'm bringing someone into this world knowing this world is a terrible place. Why would I do that? And exactly, they didn't ask to be brought into this world. But
right, exactly. And I mean, in many countries we're noticing the birth rate declining, People are refusing to have less children. That's exactly many issues, especially in South Korea. People are not having enough to sustain it. So a lot of people have the mindset that it's just not worth it if I can't financially afford financially afford for a child or emotionally or in any way, then it's not a good thing to do.
So like, are you by any chance like angry at your parents for bringing you into the world without your permission, sorry?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily angry, although it's a good question. In many cases, people may be self-deleted or going through big struggles. They absolutely may be angry, like, why did you have to bring me here when you couldn't care for me? But if you can't care for your child, in the case where they couldn't, my parents fortunately could care for me well, relatively speaking. But in the case where you can't care for your child well and you bring them into a place where they can't care, I don't believe that that's a morally good situation that anyone
understand.
All right, sorry, your mic muted. I don't know if that means that you're done, but yeah. Is the second one being for real? Do you want to come and debate it instead of just being like, huh? Come on and speak to me and we can debate it.
Hello?
Hey, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Pardon?
19.
You're 19. What do you want to debate?
So I think that with the statement that having children is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my opinion, that doesn't make sense for me that you were unconsensually born.
That's the fundamental reason why I find it to be wrong, because there's no consent involved. And
Yeah,
in
but
any
how
case
is
where
your
there's no
dad's
consent,
spunk gonna give you consent to be born?
exactly, it can't. That's the issue. That's the right issue. There can't be
But then
consent.
that's like saying, so what you're telling me is that you want Earth to be like Mars, like no life at all.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Life didn't exist for billions of years. No inconvenience suffered at all. I don't think it's an issue of life and life, I think, will go extinct again. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
But then the human body and the planet itself, it developed. It what's the word? Shit. Fuck, for the word now. Don't matter. But we developed into being humans. We developed to how we're going to live, to our environment, to everything. So having children has been exactly the same for millions and millions of years.
Yeah,
and
just
to
because it's been the case
reproduce.
for millions of years doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, but we're made to reproduce. We have
I mean,
reproductive organs.
biologically, but not an objective purpose. Biologically, we were, but not an objective purpose.
Yeah, so if we were biologically made to reproduce, then why would it be wrong to reproduce? If we are born the way as we should.
Biologically, just because it's natural doesn't make it okay. Okay, it's natural for us to do many things, doesn't make it okay. Doesn't mean it's good just because it's natural. Simply just it just happens biologically. Organisms reproduce, doesn't make it good. In many instances, it may be bad because if they overpopulate, it can cause starvation for many individuals because there's not enough food. So reproduction isn't always good.
All right. What was the other thing I was going to say? So when you said that your argument is that people who are born are also going to suffer 110%.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
yeah.
in my opinion, in some way, I agree with that. If you're born into poverty, there's 110% you're going to suffer.
Even
That's
rich
why, in my
people
opinion,
suffer. Listen, even the richest people in the world will guaranteed go through some suffering. Everyone will. It's inevitable.
yeah. But in my opinion, if you can't afford to have children, you shouldn't have children.
I'd agree.
So I think having children is good, and it's a good thing. Carry on your bloodline. Carry on.
I don't necessarily that's good. Just because carrying on your bloodline, I don't think that's an inherently good thing for any reason. You just are. I don't think that's inherently good. Yes, evolutionarily, of course, yes. But I don't think just because evolution-wise and naturally-wise it's the case, it's automatically, objectively a good thing.
So do you not want kids yourself?
Most likely not. Although even in the case where I did, I would acknowledge that I'm doing a selfish, immoral act. Like, I can know something's bad and still do it. I'm sure we've all known that we're doing bad things and we've still done it. So we may find it wrong, but we may still do it.
All right. Also, that being fat is okay.
No, I can't be asked to debate that point right now. I'm sorry. You can join back. I'll add you. But I do also want to bring more people on. Hey, how old are you?
Hi.
Yeah, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 19.
What do you want to debate?
So, incest, being fat is okay.
Yeah, what about that?
Like, being fat isn't okay.
Being unhealthy isn't okay. But
No, being fat isn't okay.
You know, not all fat people are unhealthy, right?
No, they are.
Well, we just have a disagreement that I wouldn't categorize all fat people as unhealthy.
But they are. They're all fat monkeys.
Okay. He's a troll. All right, let's move on to the next person here. Guys, double tap the screen. Let's get some more people in here. Hey, how old are you?
18.
What do you want to debate?
Having children is wrong.
Why don't you believe it to be wrong?
Well, why do you think it's wrong?
Because you're unconsensually bringing someone into a world where they 110% will suffer.
So do you think that whenever there is no consent, that it's always going to be wrong?
Yes, in this specific scenario, yeah.
So only in this scenario, so not always?
No, for example, if a prisoner does a bad act and they don't consent to go into prison, that doesn't work because they've committed an act that warrants the punishment of prison. In the case of being born, no one consented or did anything deserving of being born.
What? So you say that being born, there's more negative aspects rather than positive when being born.
Again, with people's lives, some people may view it as good, some people may view it as bad, and the issue is we will guaranteed have people that, you know, don't view their life of being worth it and wish they would never have been born. And so as long as there's a chance of that, it's kind of throwing a gamble, throwing a dice for this person may have a good or not good life. And I don't think that's ever morally okay to do.
Well, I mean, what's the percentage of people that are suicidal and say that they'd rather not be born over the people that are happy that they're born?
That's a good question, and I'm not exactly sure, but I believe if that number is above 0, which it always will be, I don't believe it's ever morally okay.
Okay, so whenever there is a negative aspect involved in any type of like choice, that should never be a choice unless there's only positive output.
I mean, yeah, in this specific scenario, suffering will guaranteed happen, and I don't think that's ever morally okay.
Why do you specify in this specific scenario?
Pardon?
Why are you specifying in this specific scenario? Like, if you're saying that
we can go into different moral situations, but in this specific scenario, I would have to say I don't view it as okay. Very simple. All right, let's move on to the next person. Everyone double tap the screen. Having kids, I think wait, what? That's fine, but not everyone does. Okay, and as long as that number is ever above 0. Hey, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? Okay, you're speaking too quietly. Can someone who can actually speak with some volume come in? Hey, how old are you?
Hello?
How old are you?
Hello? Can you hear me?
How old are you?
19.
Pardon? Okay.
My bad, I keep getting calls. 19.
Oh, yeah, so what do you want to debate?
The first one.
All right. Why don't, well, I believe having children is wrong because you're unconsensually bringing someone into an environment where they 110% will guaranteed feel suffering. Why do you disagree?
I disagree because even though the suffering is guaranteed, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad to bring them into the environment, because since we don't know the individual in the room, we really don't know whether they're going to appreciate what comes next or not. So, yeah.
I agree, and that's the issue, is that there's always a chance above 0 that someone will regret having been born, and so will not have thought this was worth it. And so you're basically gambling with someone's life, another human being's life, and I don't think that's ever morally okay, that they may or may not actually appreciate the suffering that they go through. And so that's exactly why I believe it to be morally wrong.
My response to that is going to be, if you're in a burning building and somebody's passed out, is it morally incorrect to save them?
Again, that would depend on whether they want to be saved or not. For example, many people have do not resuscitate orders when they're passing out. Many people would say that if I'm in a position where, you know, I might be passing away, don't save me. That's actually a thing in medical situations, especially I think in Jehovah's Witnesses with blood transfusions. They say, let me pass away. And so if that was the case where they wanted to, I believe it would be morally wrong to violate their decision.
Right. And the fact is, like, there's really never a way to 100% know inside of their head what they desire. So that's why I take the position saying it's amoral to have children. It's not really right or wrong.
Oh, you said it's amoral. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's amoral, yeah.
That's interesting. Fair enough. And I guess we just have a fundamental disagreement at that point. Let's move on to the next person, guys. Double tap the screen. Let's get some more people in here. Hey, how old are you, buddy?
24.
What do you want to debate?
Being fat one.
Okay, why do you believe that being fat is not okay?
Well, what would you categorize fat as? Can we get some definitions?
Exactly, and I think this is where probably we're going to have a disagreement. I say anyone who's, you know, slightly chubby, slash a little more weighty. So as long I believe that it doesn't matter how large you are in size as long as you're not unhealthy.
Well, the issue being that you think that you're healthy because you feel good, all this kind of stuff. Is that
No,
how
I'd
would you
say you can go
categorize
to a
healthy?
doctor and see if you have any health issues. If you have no long-term health issues that you're causing, then I believe that weight is irrelevant.
Well, if you're out of breath from just going up the stairs, how is that good?
That's a very specific scenario which could be caused by many things, which I don't know why that's relevant to what we're saying.
Yeah, because this notion that you know exactly like just because someone's comfortable being fat doesn't mean it's good that they should be doing a long-term wise, no?
I mean, if it's unhealthy, I'd agree with you. If they're not unhealthy, then
Like,
I would
what foods are
disagree.
they eating to get to that stage, though? You know what I mean?
It depends on whether it's unhealthy or not. Again, if it's not unhealthy,
Are
then
they
I
going to be
wouldn't
getting to
disagree.
that stage eating clean food, healthy foods?
Perhaps. You never know.
Can you describe a situation in which that occurs, please?
I mean, depends on what food they're eating. If they're eating healthy foods, but they just accumulate weight a lot more than other people, then that could absolutely be the case.
So is it just a complete coincidence that the rise of fast food and stuff, consumption, is alignment with like heavily obesity
A
rates?
lot of people eat unhealthily. That's on them.
Yeah.
And what else you want to say to that? All right, let's get some more people in here. Should I restart the live? I feel like restarting the live. I'm gonna lie. Let's restart the live. Hey, how old are you?